Alrighty, welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Nightmare on Elm Street. It is a crit race here in Youngstown, Ohio. And yes, let me answer your question. It does take place on Elm Street. It is legit. So it goes in and around and through Wick Park here in Youngstown, Ohio. And we start off all together. The race coordinator said just the first lap, everybody stay together. Make sure everyone gets clipped in. There is, in my opinion, a pretty wicked hairpin turn kind of in the back half of the race. And then some of the turns going out of the park are greater than 90 degrees, and you're coming out fast. And the road quality was not that good. In the park, pretty good. There are a couple sections, and they even have signs up that say rough road, where the pavement is broken and chipped and cracked and separated, and yeah, it was pretty bad. They have it spray painted. You'll see it here in a second. And I start out right where I don't want to be, and that's in the front. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, the first lap, we're all staying together. I can kind of control the pace, and I took it nice and slow. That is for sure. I didn't want to start out blistering. I didn't want to set out some crazy pace. We're going to have 14, 15 laps, something like that. And it was kind of, we're told 30 minutes. This is the first time they've ever done this crit race, so it's brand new to all of us. We don't really know how many laps we're going to do. Here's this hairpin turn, and my prediction was we're going to have to go super slow around that, and as soon as you go around it, everybody's going to be standing up, just hammering the pedals. That was my hunch. Praise the Lord, it didn't fully turn out that way. It wasn't as bad as I thought, I should say. I think right about here is probably the highest elevation, and then from about that lamppost on, it's all ever so slightly downhill. Going up to that point, it's all ever so slightly uphill. So from here, going out of the park, you pick up a lot of speed going around these little chicanes, really, little turns. And it just kind of sways back and forth. A lot of flow on this back half of the course, which made it super fun. But then there's a couple rough patches. And then right about now, we're about to come out of the park. And again, it is another pretty sharp turn. So choosing the lines was difficult. And again, road quality, you can kind of see, isn't great here. So you got to pick a good line. You got to stick with it. We got a field of 10, 11 guys. This is Ryan. He's a teammate of mine. You will recognize him from the Rattle Race, perhaps from one of my older videos earlier this year. I've done a race with him. And yeah, this concludes lap 1. We're coming up to it. It's like as soon as we cross the line, this guy just goes up. And it's like, okay, well, we're going into the park again. We're kind of approaching. It's in a minute, but that hairpin turn. So maybe he's thinking like, oh, let me get around that, and I can have a huge advantage. Which, in my opinion, yeah, you probably would actually. And he goes. It's like, okay, who wants to bring him down? I thought about it because I was antsy, but I knew it was all emotion at that point. I was just like, no, this is just like pre-race, early race jitters. It's not actually. Yeah, I can cover this. And again, I do have two teammates, Ryan right here, and then I got another guy behind me. You'll see him here on screen in just a second. Go over this rough patch and approaching this hairpin turn. He goes around it. That was going to be brutal for me. Terrible line. So yeah, I have to stand up, and I got to hammer and get back up. And I know everyone else is doing the exact same thing behind me too, so people start to get a little squirrely. This is Corey. You might recognize him from the Rattle Race earlier this year as well. This is my other teammate, Tanner. I'll be honest, I just met him that night. They go up and chase it, and along with these other two guys. And honestly, I wasn't too nervous about that at all, because I knew with this being a technical course, my prediction was, especially on that hairpin turn, especially on this turn coming up, going out of the park, you would have to slow down a pretty significant amount. Like you watch even my speed go from 27, 26 on some laps, all the way down 21, 20, about 20 on this lap in particular. You have to slow down and then kind of speed it back up. And I know I can take a turn pretty good. Maybe not the super sharp ones, But that one, I took it pretty well, and how I can take it best effectively, or even more effectively, would be to have no one in front of me. So I wasn't super concerned on closing the gap immediately. I was gonna flow through those turns, and then even this one right here going back into the park, and here I am, I'm right back on Tanner's tail, and it's not even, like, I didn't have to smash 1,000 watts or anything. I also don't have a power meter, so who knows how much I was actually smashing. But nonetheless, I knew if I could like take it nice and smooth and just be flowy with it and be consistent with it, I would be okay. Again, it was kind of in my head, but in this case, it did work out. I'm right back up with this front group, and I'm in it. I'm right behind this guy. He's a nice, great. Yeah, that's my teammate Tanner. It's great to be behind him. Big, tall guy. He got this big frame. Okay, I'm just gonna sit in. We're closing the gap. The 1, 2, 3. I'm number 4, and then Corey's right behind me, closing the gap on the flyer who went up. So this is it. And again, like, see, he was right in front of me, going around the hairpin. We all stand up, even for a brief second, and I was like, okay, it's still early, but like, how many times can I drop way down and then surge the power back up? I understand that's crit racing, but I also know myself well enough that I can't do 1,000 of those and then finish the race. I can only do so many. So again, that's why it's so important for me to take these turns so smooth, so consistently. I can conserve a lot of power that way and conserve energy that way as well. So that's exactly what I did. And again, it's paying off here. This downward section getting out of the park is so smooth, it's so flowy. And then we're gonna slow way down again, coming out of the park. So we went down like 8 miles an hour, and now we have to step on it again. I love slinging around this turn though. I thought that was fun. And then this home stretch was kind of into the wind actually. Now this race started at, I believe it was 7:15 p.m. and you can see how light it is outside. It's definitely not broad daylight. All the city lights are on. And it went for about 35 minutes or so. And yeah, it got real dark, which meant it got really scary as well. It was actually pretty terrifying. Okay, this is the start of lap 5. We go into the park. If you look at this is my teammate Tanner off on the front right there. He turns around right there. He just steps on it. He goes. And again, like, it's getting pretty dark. It is very difficult to see other people, to see who's around you. Not only that, as it gets darker, it starts casting shadows. So it gets really eerie. But nonetheless, Tanner steps on it. He's my teammate. I'm not going to chase him. So these other guys, none of which are my teammates, they start getting squirrely, and I was kind of in a position of, should I stay with them or should I kind of stay back a little bit? And these guys didn't really jump on it. Maybe it's because we're heading up to this hairpin right in a second, but nonetheless, they all kind of watched him. We all just watched him. And then we come up to this hairpin, and he's got a gap. In my opinion, fairly sizable one. Come around this hairpin, and we'll see what happens here. Everyone's right in on me. This guy floors it. And then the other two, the one comes around. No, just the one came around. And they chase after him. I wasn't going to, because he's my teammate. Here's Ryan right next to me. And I shout out to him. I was like, hey, Ryan, don't chase them down because, we got a teammate up the road. As far as team tactics go, that was the right thing to say to Ryan. We should not chase our teammate. Yes, I hope that's obvious. It is to me because I watch NorCal cycling. But mainly coming from the perspective of, Ryan, don't chase them and give these two guys who are not teammates a ride up to them. That's where it would get a little confusing. Now, if these guys want to rock it up, yeah, hop on their wheel, take a free ride up to the front, absolutely. But don't chase them and give them a free ride. Here you got the guy on the bike that looks like it might actually glow in the dark, especially under the dark of the trees. And then you got Corey, who's a super strong rider, chilling right behind me. So right here, Ryan's kind of controlling the pace. I'm just 1 or 2 wheels behind him, and things are pretty smooth. Things are looking pretty good. We don't want to run into this exact issue right here. where I sling around this corner, I buzz past Ryan, buzz past this other guy. Now I'm off to the front, and I'm picking up speed as I do it. I'm closing the gap to whoever's up there. Look at this, I'm going 28, 29 miles an hour across the line into the park, catching this guy. Who's this? Okay, this is Thomas. He was up a little bit. So now I've pulled up to him, who is out in no man's land. So that's where it was kind of stupid. And it gets worse because I then, look at this.
Inside.
Go around him through the whole straightaway. I'm in the front. I'm pulling. I come back into the park. Not only do him, but also Corey come flying around me. Look, there's already a gap. And at this point, I just did that whole effort up the straightaway with both of them on my tail. I'm gassed at this point. To the point I put my hands on the bars, thinking like, okay, I'm like tapped right now. I just spent way too much time on the front, which was super stupid. We didn't even like close any sort of gap. It's not like I brought them all the way up to the front group or anything. No. And again, they just take off, and I'm left alone. So, curses, man. That was just stupid, and it's all hindsight. Like, I just had some energy. I was like, all right, let's push it. I think I can do this. And I pulled. Stupid mistake on my part, and that's why I'm a Cat 5, let me tell you. Alright, let's skip ahead. This is going into the very last lap of Nightmare on Elm Street. I am so ready for this thing to be done. At this point, it's just me, Ryan, and one other guy, and we've been just kind of taking turns just getting this thing done these last 5-6 laps or so. And I was kind of sizing it up in my head. I knew I was pretty tired, but I had been doing really good. I was proud of myself. So like mentally, I'm hanging in pretty tough. But it's getting late. It is pitch black, as you can tell. My lungs are starting to burn, and I knew it was going to be a tough last lap. I know Ryan is a very strong rider, and I also knew I really wanted to beat him. But again, I know he's a strong rider, so I was going to have my hands full. The other guy I don't know very well, but I mean, he had been keeping up with us the whole time. So they both come around me, and I was okay with it. I'm just going to kind of sit in, and then it dawns on me, wait a second. If one of these guys makes a move, it's going to be on this hairpin turn coming up. So I gotta be ready for that. And if this other dude hits it, like goes around the turn and just stands up and goes, I have to be ready to react. So let's see. We go around 1, 2. Where is everybody? We're standing up, we're going, and then we kind of ease back into a pace. So I'm right there with them. I wanted to keep it close. I didn't want to let anything open up. I considered passing them on this back stretch right here because it was very quick. The road was fairly wide, but with these chicanes, with it going left and right and kind of swaying back and forth, I didn't want to risk anything. I didn't want to hit a curb. I didn't want anyone else crashing. Of course, I didn't want myself crashing. So I wasn't going to do anything stupid and make anyone mad. Not into that at all. Especially on the last lap. Especially in the dark. Not into that. And it hits me right here. This is going to come down to a field sprint. I have to take good lines on these final corners coming out of the park and onto the main road. That's really going to determine something. And again, I don't know how good the guy up front can sprint. I know Ryan is very strong. So we come out of the park, we're on the road. I take a pretty wide turn, much wider than it should have been, and this guy is right in front of me. So I swing to the inside. Ryan is there, and this, for some reason, I get on the inside to the left of him, and I hammer and hammer and hammer, and he just beat me by a second, man. Oh, it's so close. So Ryan, great job, dude. That was an awesome ride. Loved having that final sprint. I had a lot of support from family and friends who came all the way out to watch me, and I'm very grateful for that. You guys have got to mark Nightmare on Elm Street for your calendar for 2023. Be sure to join us next year in Youngstown, Ohio. This race was so fun. Cycward Bike Shop did such a great job with this event. It was awesome. I will totally be back next year. Guys, thank you so very much for watching. Let me know how I did in the comments below. Did I live up to a Cat 5 standard? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.